This is our question answer session. So we have got 30 minutes for that. Um, so let's start with that.
Guruji, there are lots of questions and we would like to take them one by one. Now, the first question here is there are some people who talk during meditation. It seems as if they are getting messages from somewhere, from Baba Nanak or Lord Buddha, and likewise. So, I want to know, do these messages really come across for any particular person? And if yes, then how come these things happen?
This is a nice question. All the great souls mentioned over were not merely embodied personalities. Rather, they were ones who had recognized and proved themselves. Though they have relinquished their bodies, but the cosmic power, the supreme soul, their consciousness attached with that still remains. If someone is meditating of Guru Baba Nanak, then Baba Nanak would come down upon him through and through. I'll tell you an example of meditation. You must be having your favorite heroes and heroines. You watch their movies, and after watching the movie, thinking of your idol again and again, a change occurs in your behavior. Then you start speaking his language. You start walking like him. Like them, you even learn to express yourself. Not only this, sometimes you forget your name and start calling yourself, what Khan is it?
Shah Rukh Khan.
Shah Rukh Khan, you start calling yourself. Amir Khan, you start calling yourself. This is how the meditation can influence you even when you are awake. I have even seen people. There used to be an old time actor, Devanand. Used to have their haircuts like him. Used to wear like him. Used to walk like him. You can see how impactful a meditation could be. What could be a better example? Say, statues are being made in South India. Statues of gods and goddesses. And in North India also, these statues are being made. In Rajasthan, marble statues are being made. Now I will tell you the impact of meditation. In South India, when the sculptors go to work, so what they will do, they'll take bath in the morning. Then they will visit temples for prayers. Then he will remember his deity. After all this and reading his sacred text, by 8:30 or 9 he will start his work. The stone which he is working on, he will first greet it respectfully. He will beg for its pardon. Oh God, I'm going to sit over you to carve your image. If anything goes wrong on my part, please excuse me. The necessity of this work is making me sit over your head, over your shoulder, on your hand, since this work is so important. So, this is the sense of gratitude in him, the sense of dedication he has. I'm trying to keep it as simple as I can. Hope you get it.
Yes, not a problem, Guruji.
So, with utmost completeness, that sculpturer, that idol maker, he has completely surrendered himself to the art. And when he surrenders himself to the art, then only art remains, not the artist. And in this situation, in this state, in this time, whatever creation takes place, that is incomparable, it is unequaled. Whomsoever has crafted Balaji's statue, you can imagine for yourself, people from all over the world come to see and worship it. And just by seeing it, by watching it only, peace, completeness, and sense of fulfillment is felt. So the person who had made this statue, how great his practice could have been. Now this was only one story. For another story, come with me, Jaipur. Statue makers over there, in the evening time, after taking their meal, will go to some theatre and watch movies. Watch Hema Malini and others also like Dharmender. Then start working in the morning. They are making the idol of Saraswati and it is looking like Hema Malini. Now it is Saraswati or Hema Malini. It depends upon you to understand. The idol of Bhagwan Ram is being made and it is looking like Dharmender. Now you are confused who is Ram, who is Dharmender. This is because of meditation. Why? A discipline that is needed towards art, that is lacking. They will smoke and put it off on that very stone. They will go have their dinner and wipe their hands on that stone itself. So this is their attitude towards art. Then how the art would flourish and what betterment can you expect? If the art is considered as worship, then it flourishes. In the very same way, all the great souls who relinquished their bodies and have become divine, whenever they are evoked with utmost devotion, they make themselves evident. Since we are talking of Baba Nanak here, so first I'll tell you a story, then we will move ahead. One of our Gujarati bhai is a scientist, he is still alive. He used to work with NASA. So while he was working with NASA, at the time of his retirement, he was detected with blood cancer. So all the hospitals in America, they said, you'll have to go for bone marrow transplant and this blood transfusion. So all this process got started. So that gentleman started missing his country. He thought he was born in India, so he will die there only. So he called up his daughter, packed up everything and came back to Ahmedabad. When he reached Ahmedabad, his family and friends came to know about him. One of his friends was Sardarji, was in transport business. He was very good, very close friend he was. So Sardarji came to know that his friend is back here and is suffering from this disease. So he went to his place and talked to his daughter and talked to his friend also. He was very sad. Such a nice man he was. Served the humanity selflessly. Now what has happened to him? Sometimes our attachment stop us to understand the game of destiny. But Sardarji was a greatly devoted soul. He started feeling from inside that if I take my friend to Harminder Sahib and make him hear the Akhand part, he will definitely be cured. Now see how a man's devotion and sincerity make a lot of difference. The problem is, this is Gujarati bhai, how to make him understand. He is associated with Vaishnav Parampara. So what he did first, talked to his daughter and convinced her, see Beti, you don't have to do anything. I will arrange for everything. Say, he is your father, he is my friend, I am like your uncle. And the way you are concerned about your father, I am equally concerned about my friend. You please give me one chance. And you get ready, we will go to Amritsar. Daughter said, Papa won't agree to this. I'll say anything, he will shout on me. He said, okay. Next day, again he came in the morning. His Gujarati friend asked, I'm forgetting his name. What is it so early in the morning? Been to Gurdwara? He said, my Guru is here only. Why should I go to Gurdwara? See how emotions are working. His friend said, "What are you saying? This is early in the morning." He said, "Actually, I have had a fight with my wife. Haven't had my tea yet. You get me tea first." He said, "All right," asked his daughter to fix some tea and some breakfast. He doesn't seem to be in a good mood. So a sort of emotional environment got created. Yeah, sometimes I feel, would you ever do as I say? His Gujarati friend said, "What are you saying? I've always paid heed to whatever you have said. I've always respected your words. What makes you think that I'll ever do this to you? No, I don't know what's going on in your mind. Last moment you would say, no, I won't do this. I won't say anything. Why, tell me what is the matter?" Sardarji said, "Now listen, you are my friend, you are my brother. See, I have great adorance for Harminder Sahib, a very strong belief. And I strongly believe if you go there, you will be cured." There was a silence for 5 minutes. What to do? There is a saying in Hindi, "Marta kya nahi karta." He thought in a situation like this, going to such a place won't be bad. It's a good chance, can be thought over. After 5 minutes, he said, "Okay, if you insist, then I will go. But you can see, I'm on stretcher. You tell me, how can I go there? Who will take care of me? It is such a big event, you know. Everyone is so busy with their work. Who will let me enter the temple in this condition?" He said, "You don't worry about that. You are ready?" He said, "Yes, if you are saying, then I'm ready. But there is one condition. You too will have to come with me." He said, "You don't worry about that." Sardarji had few very good connections there in Shiromani Prabandhak Committee that is there in Amritsar. He knew a couple of people in there, so he talked to them in this regard. That a friend of mine, he is in such a condition and technically he has almost reached his last stage. So it is my wish and I very strongly feel that if Baba showed his grace, then he will be cured. And this would be a great thing. Even if he dies, he will die at Baba's doorstep, die near Baba's feet. What else one can wish for? So they were very nice people. They said, "Okay, you don't have to worry. You just send him down here." He said, "I'm not sending him. I'm coming along with him." They said, "It's wonderful. You are familiar with the system here. Whatever you will require, you will get it here." So he put him on the stretcher and started for Delhi, Ahmedabad to Delhi. And from Delhi, they went to Amritsar. Everything was arranged there. Just for your information, I am telling you. In Harminder Sahib, if you want to do Akhand Path, then you will have to wait for as long as 12 years. After waiting for this much long, then you get to have your chance after 12 years. Then you can do Akhand Path. Here it was only by the grace of Baba. Immediately the Granthi was called. He was arranged for. A very seasoned Granthi indeed. An elderly person, very spiritual Granthi he was. A man who must have had some spiritual experience. So Sardarji told him that, "See, this is the situation and this is the person." Now Granthis are very conventional people. They are very strict. When they are on part, they cannot tolerate people with dilly-dally attitude. Heads should be covered. A discipline should be maintained. Like this. This won't be tolerated. One must hear every word with utmost discipline. Sardarji said, "My friend is not well. You can see he is lying on the stretcher. In a situation like this, you just cannot expect any type of discipline from him. He has come to Baba's Darbar. Baba has summoned him. Now Baba will do everything. We don't have to do anything. What you have to do is to read out the path to him." So after getting the Granthi prepared mentally, it was decided the path would commence from next day. It was scheduled for 7 days. Though Akhand Path is completed in 1 day, but keeping in view the condition, the tolerance of the person and all this, it was arranged in accordance with that. First day was over, second day was over. Very devotedly this was going on. And his daughter was making a film of it, video shooting. Suddenly, a light came out of Guru Granth Sahib. The girl first saw that light. She focused her video camera on that and caught the glimpse of that light in her camera. That light, moving very slowly, entered into her father's mouth. When this thing happened, the girl was a bit worried. She couldn't understand anything. But very nice thing happened. After half an hour, he started to move a bit. The person who was lying like this, he started moving. Then he called his daughter closer to him and he said, "Untie all this." She was like, "Papa," he said, "untie this." After some half an hour, he said, "Okay, make me sit like this." A bedridden man for almost a year. On second or third day, he was able to sit. And after some times, he asked to remove the stretcher. Seeing this miracle, the Granthi paused for a while. He requested, "No, please, you please continue." With the help of few pillows, etc., he went and sat resting against the wall. And gradually, with every day, new changes happened in him. And he, with his own hand, made the offering after the part was over. And that day, he started walking again. And that very moment, he made the promise that I would be the proclaimer of Guru Granth Sahib. There was his program on television. There was his interview also in the newspaper, Scientist Days. So this is not a very old story. Just a couple of years back, all these things happened. You must be knowing about this. So Baba Nanak, the defined form of him, works like this. Whenever any of these great souls wish to help any person or devotee, they do it by means of messengers. And those messages are sent to your conscience. All these messages coming are coded. As the time comes, they get decoded and become evident and clear to the person. So whatever is experienced by them is experienced right. Amongst our satsangis, there are two brothers. Many of you must be knowing them. They, 1,000 years ago, were tribal gurus. So whenever they are in meditation, they would start speaking in tribal language. Sometimes they recite lines from Quran Sharif and sometimes Sanskrit shloka as well. Sometimes they start acting so violently that it is very difficult to stop them. Then only through the evocation of Shakti they are satiated. Amongst these two brothers, the one who speaks in tribal language, we tried to trace the record of it and we came to know that it is a very old language. Now no one can speak or is aware of it. These African tribals, they were the gurus of that tribe, these two brothers. And when they worked as the priest, they worked as the guru. Whatever mantras were used at that time, they are repeating the very same mantras now. And they have devised a very simple technique. With the help of meditation, they have been able to activate a power. They are not orthopedic surgeon. They are not physiotherapist. But just bring any person before them and tell them they are going through some problem and you have to find it out. They will exactly pinpoint that very vein which is problematic. And within 15 to 20 minutes, they are able to cure that person of the ailment and send him off. Now this is the knowledge which is the result of your past life karma which is continuing. It is active in them. They never went to any medical college. They never went to any physiotherapy center and took a 4-year degree course. They are very simple, down-to-earth people. And in the state of meditation, they do the healings. And all the veins-related problems or orthopedic problems, They cure them just in half an hour. Many people sitting over here, those who know them have been cured by them. So what exactly I mean to say by this, that our birth, that is only according to our date of birth, that is not the only reality. We have had many births before, and this is mere the carry forward state that we are sitting here over.
The next question is, what does swastik sign signify? And while in meditation, if one sees the swastik sign, what does it signify? So, Guruji, would you like to throw some light on it?
Say, in Vedic tradition, swastik signifies Sri Ganesha, representer of eternal knowledge. In Maharashtra, we had a great Sant, Sant Gyaneshwar Maharaj. He has beautifully explained Ganesha as Omkar in his book Gyaneshwari. This is how he gets the thing started. Om Namo Yadya Ved Pratipadya. He says that I am bowing my head to that Supreme Soul, who is knowledge personified, who is bliss personified, who showers joy and destroys sorrow. My greetings to this Omkar, that is Ganesha. And this is how Sant Gyaneshwarji Maharaj starts his prayer, with Ganesha. And this is what is symbolically is expressed in the sign of swastika.
Next question, Guruji. Why is it auspicious to hear sound of Shankh?
Shankh is a unique form of Omkar, one that expresses Nath in a natural, you can call it a natural yantra. Shankh, we know, is normally found in oceans, and those who know botany, they are quite aware that it is calcium. It is made up of it. This Shankh are available in many types. Some can be played. To make it sound, we blow it. There are many categories of Shankh. It has been beautifully explained in Gita. Any special Shankh which has been held by someone, as you take the name of the Shankh, the bearer of the Shankh comes to your mind. In the war of Mahabharata, the Shankh held by Bhishma was a different Shankh. Yudhishthir too had a Shankh that was a different one. Panchajanya is a Shankh, Panchajanya. Its name is Panchajanya. This is the Shankh of Bhagavan Vasudeva. With the Omkar of that Shankh, with the sound of it, entire construction of the universe gets to experience a revolutionary change. Whenever Vasudeva has blown his Panchajanya Shankh, it has in a type a beginning of a new creation. Shankh is a form of Omkar. If you happen to get a good Shankh, if you hold it here like this, you will get the sound of Om. Since this is a form of Omkar, this is in our India, we worship Shankh also. And especially the right handed Shankh, that is considered more venerable and precious.
Pranam Guruvar. I am a devotee of Lord Shiva and Parvati. I do meditation also whenever I get time, but I find it difficult to concentrate. Different thoughts keep coming to my mind. Tell me some simple way so that I can keep myself focused whenever I'm in meditation.
If you want to see God in form and size, then Nagadhari, Jatadhari, Gangadhari, Chandradhari, Shiv we have. You can worship him as your deity. And if you want to understand Nirguna Nirakar Shiv, then this kind of Shiva we all worship in the form of Linga. Whenever you do the chanting or do the meditation, whatever thought comes to your mind, it is a very natural process and you don't really need to worry about this. Whenever you are composed and fully concentrated, that very moment you are attacked upon by various thoughts. Whenever you are keeping busy, but you are not really associated with thoughts, that time, in spite of being surrounded by many thoughts, you are not aware of it. Because you are so entangled in yourself. When you are free from anxiety and fully composed, when your mind gradually calms down, it is stabilized. You are not thinking of anything, you are free from thoughts. That very time you are faced with different types of thoughts. So you should not be anxious. Thoughts, if ever come to you, you should not worry about them because they themselves will perish away. When you touch your thoughts and keep them with you, then they simply cling to you and get you diverted. But if you remain neutral and watch them neutrally, then they remain non-existent. I'll give you a small example. Here we don't see beggars around, but in India you will see that they are quite prevalent in there. They simply get out of their place and start begging right from the first house. They keep on begging for alms and just go on. And if they happen to get it regularly at some place, they will cling to that place. And if you are one of them, then just do one thing. You just avoid them for a day. Avoid them for second day also. Next day also you don't give them anything. If you continue to do this for a week, then you will see they will change their strategy. They would call up at the house next to your right hand side. They will skip your house and they will stand at the house on your left hand side. Because they would know you have not given them anything for a week, so you might have changed your mind and you won't get anything. Similarly, if you ignore your thoughts and you simply stop entertaining them, they never get stuck to you. So if you remain neutral with your thoughts, they will never pop up to perturb you. They too think it's been 5 days now, there is no point in asking again. One who has not given for 4 days, why would he give on 5th day? So what's the point to waste the effort? It just takes a sharp turn from left hand side and moves ahead and finds a place on your right hand side, but never troubles you again. Similarly, your thoughts are as smart as the one who keeps begging you for alms. If you are not entertaining them, they will simply leave you, they won't trouble you again. This is why don't ever get anxious about your thoughts, and whatever you are doing with love, sincerity and self-esteem, whatever jap you are doing, whatever meditation you are doing, continue doing it. Sadguru Nath Maharaj ki jai.
There's another question, Guruji.
Yes, speak.
A lot of other things other than yourself, like say you, the person sitting here, what are you seeing beyond that person? What is that and how are you supposed to handle with that? When you're sitting.
Please come forward. Come. Now ask your question. Yes, what were you saying?
ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਬੈਠੇ ਹਾਂ ਨਾ, ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਬੰਦਾ ਦਿਸਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੰਦੇ ਤੋਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਲਾਈਨ ਲੱਗੀ ਹੋਈ, ਉਹ ਕੀ ਆ ਧਿਆਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਦਾ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਕੀ ਆ, ਉਹ ਕਿਉਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਿਉਂ ਬੋਦਰ ਕਰਦਾ।
Guruji, he wants to know that when I am meditating or even if I am not, I clearly see a person and also many people queuing up. Why do I get this vision and why do they trouble me? Can you please explain about this to us, Guruji?
They are not troubling you, they are indicating you something. Say, you are able to understand me? Okay, so they don't mean to put you to trouble, they are trying to tell you something. If you are sitting in meditation and someone shows up in vision and also a long queue of people is seen, then it must be a person who has some place in your life. Unauthorized people would never come in your vision. The person who you see during meditation must be having a better standing than that of yours. So he is not troubling you, he is telling you something. Maybe the person you are searching for, he is a symbol of it. He symbolizes that. Whatever you are looking for, whatever your wishes and pursuits are, this vision of yours is indicating you that all your wishes, all your desires, in a few days, very soon it is going to be fulfilled. And you will be successful in your endeavor and pursuits.
But most of the time, ਇਸ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੋਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਆਰਡੀਨਰੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਮ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਬੈਠੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੂੰਗਾ ਇਸ ਉਹ ਵਾਲੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਦੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੁਛ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੰਫਿਊਜ਼ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਆਵਾਜ਼ਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਆ
Guruji, the question is, with my eyes open too, I see a very simple man being followed by a huge crowd. There is lots of noise and I get confused. I do not understand. What exactly does this mean?
How long have you been meditating?
मुझे 1.5 ਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਧਿਆਨ ਚ ਪਰ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮੈਂ ever since I know myself मैं जाप को बहुत कीता है
Tell me what jap you mostly do.
just like
You chant the name of Vaheguru, so whatever you come across in your vision is not wrong, it's perfectly all right. The voices you hear, are they human voices or any different type of voices you hear?
like ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦਾ ਰੋਣਾ ਤੇ ਨਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਭਾਵਨਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਹਿ ਲਈਏ ਉਹ ਵਾਲੀਆਂ ਜਾਂ ਕਈ ਲੈਂਗੁਏਜ I don't even know ਕਿ ਉਹ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਲੈਂਗੁਏਜ ਹੈ
Guruji, he says, I hear people cry. Voices with intense emotions are heard and languages I am not aware of. They are also heard.
During our meditation, we often, through our subtle consciousness, we travel out of our body. We not only move out, we get connected to our past lives. So the visions you come across, those visions get connected to your meditation. But whatever you experience in this life, since they are not well coordinated with those things, you wonder what is happening, whether it is right or wrong. It is because of this. So the confusion is only because you are trying to connect your present experience with the experiences of your past life, which leaves you confused.
Thank you so much, Guruji.
Sadgurunath Maharaj ki jai.